You're listening to Seattle Real Estate Podcast.
Washington state courts have struck down simple drug possession law. So if you got drugs on you, the cops get to you, they're just going to say, put that back in your pocket, go on your merry way. Sorry to interrupt your lifestyle. That's what we're doing here in Washington state. What are we talking about? We're talking Seattle Police and Bellevue Police and a bunch of other police departments across the not in the United States. No, not the whole United States, just Washington state. They won't arrest for drug possession after the state high court strikes the law down. More genius moves here in the state of Washington. I mean, we just got them coming. They're just flying by. Just let's let everybody do their own thing. Make everybody happy. You want to live in a tent? You want to shoot up? You want to have drugs on you? It's all okay. It's all good. You want to do some criming? Go for it. Hey, it's what we're doing. We're going to get into it. Got a couple articles here. But before we do, if you're new here, my name is Sean Reynolds. I'm a real estate guy. I own a couple of real estate companies, but I read the news and I give my opinion on stuff that you might find interesting. All right, let's get into it. Enough of the blabbing. Washington State Supreme Court has struck down part of the state's felony drug possession law because it doesn't require prosecutors to prove that someone knowingly or intentionally possessed the drugs. Are those your drugs? No, they are not. That's as simple as it gets here in the state of Washington. Those drugs in your car, those yours? Not mine. I just got the car-ish Friday driving down the street. Drugs popped up in my car. I don't know. They're not mine. I picked up a guy, I can't remember his name. He got in the back seat. He left those drugs there. I mean, what am I supposed to do? They're not mine. Please, officer. How many times do you hear that? And it's like, really? Really? Now, this is some nonsense. This is truly just some straight up nonsense. The ruling has enormous ramifications for law enforcement agencies across the state, as evidenced by a decision by the Seattle Police Department to immediately halt making arrests for a suspected simple drug possession offense. Here in the state of Washington, here in Seattle, pretty much, we're not going to have any laws anymore. We're not going to need the police anymore. And we're gonna effectively defund the police because we'll have no laws. There will be no laws left for the police to uphold. That's kind of the direction we're heading in, doesn't it? Doesn't it feel like that if you've been following this podcast? We just have ridiculousness after ridiculousness here. It's just so wild. Like, what? Okay, so they're halting making arrests for a suspected simple drug possession offense. The Seattle Police Department will follow the law and has already issued this directive effective immediately, the department said to Como News in an emailed response. This morning, the Washington State Supreme Court ruled RCW 69.50.4013 unconstitutional. It's unconstitutional. Yep. RCW, whatever that number is, also known as simple drug possession, is no longer an arrestable offense. It also cannot be used as a legal basis to seize an individual. You can't arrest them. Is that your drugs? Nope. Okay, carry on. It's nuts, right? The ruling by the state Supreme Court was issued in the case. Get this. Seriously. The ruling by the state Supreme Court was issued in the case of a Spokane woman who had received a pair of jeans from a friend. Where'd you get those pants? I got them from a friend. What's her name? Can't remember, but she gave me these jeans and received a pair of jeans from a friend that had a small bag of meth in the pocket. Is this your meth? No, it is not. Whose meth is it? Gal who gave me the jeans, of course. I mean, why wouldn't she take meth out of her jeans? Have you ever heard of a drug addict losing their drugs? No, that's just not how it works. They know where those drugs are above everything else in their life. They just do, right? that's the highest priority. It's a top priority. And so, and I don't think most people do meth as a casual drug. You're going to do a couple of lines of meth. You're going to smoke some meth this weekend and then, just do your 9 to 5 the rest of the week. I mean, maybe, but not likely, right? I mean, usually on that grind pretty hard. So to have a small bag of meth in a pocket given to you in a pair of jeans, that is the worst story ever. I am sorry. If this is true, then you've got just a bunch of stupid people running around. If you're leaving drugs in your pocket, you deserve to get arrested. Arrest that person. Arrest the person who's got it on them. This is nonsense. Seriously, this is just nonsense. Are those your drugs? No, they're not. They're not mine. 5 justices said in a decision Thursday the state law was unconstitutional because it criminalized her passive, unknowing conduct in violation of her due process protections. What? She had drugs on her. Arrest her. Put her in jail. That's kind of how I see it. If you're breaking the law, you're breaking the law. But no, we've got unknowing conduct. She didn't know. She didn't know why that bag of drugs, that bag of meth was in her pocket. Unaware, just clearly anybody could have put that in there. But, she told the, I'm sure, arresting officer and the court system, my friend gave these to me. That is ludicrous. Another justice would have overturned the woman's conviction by interpreting the law as requiring proof that the drugs were possessed intentionally. Did you get those drugs intentionally? Because if you didn't, I might have a solution for you. Get out of jail free card. Go on your merry way. Keep doing your drugs, hugs, and drugs is what I say. Jeez. I mean, it's crazy, right? So now, if you didn't possess the drugs intentionally, I have those drugs, but unfortunately, I didn't intentionally get them. Therefore, can you let me off? Yes, we can. In its statement, Seattle police said that they would also not confiscate drugs from an individual based on only a violation of the law. This ruling also does not limit officers' ability to conduct investigations involving other illegal drug activity. Okay, correct. All right, so that's what they're saying they're doing. The police statement said, however, officers must have reasonable suspicion or probable cause to investigate those other crimes. And those other crimes cannot rely nor be based upon that RCW as the underlying crime. If you have a kilo of coke in your pocket, but it got there unintentionally, one of your best buddies gave you a really cool leather jacket and it had a kilo of coke in either pocket. And you put that on and you wore that around. You went out, you went grocery shopping and something happened and you got pulled over and they got a hold of your coat. Are these your 2 kilos of coke? Is this your 4.44 pounds of cocaine? No, it's not. Whose is it? My friend who gave me the coat. And I got this unintentionally. This is literally what we're talking about here. I did not put the coke in the pocket. I just wore it around. It's unintentional. Of course, I'm joking because if you have 2.2 pounds in your coat, you're going to know it. It's pretty heavy. That's heavy. That's some heavy stuff. I did a podcast, I think it was yesterday, and a gal was going through a thrift store and she bought a crochet kit in Seattle, in North Seattle. And lo and behold, she found a pound. It was a kilo. It was a kilo of coke in her crochet kit. Good Lord. She did turn that into the police because she didn't have any use for cocaine during her crochet activities. She just wanted the kit, not the coke. That was an extra bonus. And it was wrapped in this rubberized surface to keep it safe from when it gets dropped in the water by the airplanes. Plop, plop, plop. Go out and retrieve it. I don't know. I'm just reimagining and rethinking movie scenes that I've seen on drug running like that. My cocaine is, I don't really know anything about that. All right, let's move on here, but same story. We've got some good stuff here. Seattle police and Bellevue, where I'm at, Other law enforcement immediately stop arresting people for drug possession. Oh, that's good news. That's great news. So all those guys on the corner, if they don't have, if those drug dealers on the corner, if they don't have weapons with them, they're going to be okay. But you almost always, when they do a drug bust, they've always got weapons. They've got weapons. So maybe we just go really hard on weapons. All right, we can't bust you on the drugs, but the weapons, we're going to take you down. Washington State Supreme Court struck down the state's felony drug possession law on Thursday. The ruling impacts every police agency and jail across Washington, with many departments immediately ordering their officers to stop making arrests for simple drug possession. Got drugs on you? You're okay. It has some people concerned about the implications. We're going to have a huge problem. It's going to be out of control, I think, said 𝒂𝒕𝒍𝒆, who lives in Seattle. It's already out of control. So is it going to get worse? I don't know. Probably not. It's just you're not going to be able to bust the street level people and then kind of work your way up. That's the way I see it. Because you can't bust those guys for simple possession anymore. And unintentional versus intentional. Did you buy that? Did you buy that gram of heroin? Not intentionally. It was unintentional. I possessed this unintentionally. Washington Supreme Court ruled 5-4 that the state's felony drug possession law is unconstitutional because, unlike every other state, Washington's law did not protect people who were knowingly in possession of drugs. Washington's law did not protect people who are unknowingly in possession of drugs. Who is in possession of drugs unknowingly? Seriously? Honestly, in a court of law, that's always the defense. I don't know. They're not mine. That's always the defense. Always the defense. It's not mine. They come up with just some stumbling, terrible excuse. And the cop goes, okay, that's fine. Need you to put your hands behind your back. Here we go. It's forcing police departments to immediately change what they consider a drug crime. And law enforcement agencies from all over the state are letting residents know their responses will be different. Oh, that's great. Okay, so we no longer have a uniform approach to any kind of drug crime. That's good. All right. Yep. Step in the right direction. Love our fellow human being. Let them shoot up whatever drugs they want and possess them knowingly or unknowingly. We don't really know. It's unknown. At this point in time, we're not going to make any custody arrests or arrest of an individual for having that controlled substance, said Major Andrew Popachok with the Bellevue Police Department. Yesterday, it would have been, you could have been arrested for possession. Today, we're not going to make an arrest. And Bellevue is conservative. That's where I am. That's where my office is. This is where I live. So I'm sure they're like, what? And they're like, cops in today's day and age, what are they going to end up doing? Traffic offenses? That's it? Because we're just letting everything go, it kind of feels like. It's a change that has people worried that an already serious drug problem in Western Washington will get worse. So I can just pop out a baggie of cocaine and do it right here and now, and everything would be okay. I'm not okay with that, said Adrian Papasso, who lives in Seattle, same person. Cairo's DD son asked Bellevue police if there's a certain volume of possession that would still be considered a crime. What about if someone has a kilo of cocaine, son asked. How does that work? Well, did you knowingly have that on your person, that kilo of cocaine? Because if you tell me you didn't, you might be able to get off. That's a question we've got to have a little more legal interpretation before we go answer it, Popachok said. We don't usually run across that person with a large amount without some reason. For example, if you have text messages, distribution material, something else that goes along with it, that would give us the nexus to say, you're distributing drugs, he said. Popachok reminds residents that change does not impact anything else other than that one single tiny little law. But isn't this the downward slide we're all kind of complaining about? You're not going to have any laws left. People are just going to run around willy-nilly doing their own thing. I know this affects that fear of crime. that there's that fear that something is going to happen. I want to assure them the officers are out there every day making those arrests, but just not the possession ones anymore. Being visible in the community, and we're there to support you as best we can, but basically we are effectively being limited in what we can do for your personal safety. Let the drug criming continue. Let it just keep going. Some are hopeful the Washington State Supreme Court will bring new ways to address substance abuse. Good luck with that. I definitely think there are different ways to handle it. Sophia Schussler, another Seattle resident, but she still admits there's a jarring change. It's kind of scary, Schussler said. Yeah, that's what I kind of think. The change also impacts people who are currently in jail solely on drug possession charges. Island County Sheriff Rick Felici said in an email statement, there is currently only one inmate in the Island County Jail who has been held solely on a charge of possession of a controlled substance. That inmate is in the processes of being released as of this court decision. It's that one dude's lucky day. I mean, that guy hit a home run, right? Got busted. He's in jail. Hey, there was a Washington State court decision. We're going to have to let you go. He's like, oh, man, best day ever. Woo-hoo. Okay, here's a message from Sheriff Felici, the Island County Sheriff's Office. I'm going to read this because I think this has some merit. A message from Sheriff Felici. This morning, the Washington State Supreme Court in a 5-4 decision determined the state's felony drug possession law is unconstitutional because it doesn't require prosecutors to prove that someone knowingly or intentionally possessed the drugs. They fell from the sky and got onto that person. Lord knows how. It's a damn miracle. While I'm hoping this is a course correction rather than a complete change in direction, this is the sheriff speaking, the impacts of the decision will be widespread to say the least. Effective immediately, Washington law enforcement officers are no longer authorized to conduct a criminal investigation, effect an arrest, seek a search warrant, or do damn near anything due to this ridiculous RCW. While it could be argued that this change will reduce the number of people incarcerated in the state and that drug abuse is also better treated as a public health issue, this change will also have an impact on the number of people who are motivated to get into treatment as a result of their arrest, and it will impact law enforcement's ability to work their way up the chain to get drug dealers. Okay? Cops work street level, work their way up, get to the final source, take those people down. The other 1,000 people right behind them, waiting in the wings, pop out, start doing the drugs, selling the drugs. So to clarify, this ruling pertains to all controlled substances as defined by the RCW, not just marijuana. All controlled substances. So, man, I don't know. This is just some craziness. Cairo 7 has asked how many people in the King County Jail this ruling impacts. Lawmakers like State Senator Manka Dhingra, Democrat from Redmond, said they will be looking at legislation to address the court's opinion, which means more changes could be a-coming. Governor Jay Inslee suggested on Thursday that there may be ways to amend the law to require prosecutors to prove someone knowingly or intentionally possessed the drugs. Dhingra also said the case is providing an opportunity to correct wrongs of the past. She said in an email, the war on drugs had devastated communities of color, and this is an opportunity for us to take a public health approach to substance use disorder. Somebody's got drugs on them. How does this, I've got a disconnect here, right? The balance of our system has been tilted too far away from rehabilitation and toward punishment. I think we need to do some more punishment. That's kind of my thing. Need to get a bunch of these people off the streets. We're not talking about a gram of weed. We're talking about harder drugs here, right? Talking about meth, talking about coke, talking about heroin, stuff that's actually killing people. It's time to restore the balance that our system has lost. I look forward to working with my colleagues on legislation that strikes the right balance. Why don't they make it all legal and tax it? Let's just go down that road. You already did that with weed, right? Man, the Whatcom County Sheriff's Office cited other concerns like the impact on the department's ability to deter. Yep, whatever. Okay, so that's really about it. So, man, if you're in the drug game, things just got a little easier for you. No more of that pesky possession law. No. Or, hey, I got it on me. I don't know where it came from. Silliness, right? It's just kind of silly. We're just unwinding all these laws, and then how long will it be before we realize, you know what? There's a reason we had those on the books. This has gotten really out of control. But it seems like this is what we're doing in Seattle. We're just, we love our fellow human beings so much that we don't want to incarcerate them based on them having unwillingly or unknowingly obtained some drugs on their person. We don't want to burden them with a legal process over possession of some drugs. You just cocaine, go for it. Heroin, meth, you got it. Just keep going. No, and anybody who knows that, how I kind of feel towards that stuff, you got to have some laws in place. Otherwise, this is going to go wildly outside of the box. Weed is one thing. Weed has never killed anybody. Is it a gateway drug? That could be argued. Does it make you unmotivated if you use it, all the time? Yeah, probably, but that's kind of your choice. Weed to me is, it's like alcohol. If you do enough of it, it's going to ruin your life. But nobody's ever died from weed, whereas alcohol, people die every single day from overuse. So, let's be honest. You got to kind of call a spade a spade. You get into cocaine, you take a line, heart blows out. Not good. Heroin, you get addicted forever, or just walk the streets of Seattle, see how that goes. Meth, not a good example of a drug. You see a meth head, their face is just all mangled because, it just affects them and they just scratch and, they've got sores all over. Those hard drugs, they're not good for people. And now the officers have one less tool in their toolbox to deal with crime. So, nice going, Washington State. Well done. No, not good. I'm not happy about this one. I think, and I'm not for people getting arrested for, a little bit of weed. I think that I didn't have a problem with that. I know a lot of you guys probably did. You're like, the weed still, you shouldn't be doing weed. Okay, that's fine. But from a health standpoint, your fingers are just basically going to get really orange because of all the Cheetos you're eating, right? I mean, it's like anything. You eat enough food, you're going to get really fat and obese, and that's going to have a major impact on your health. You smoke enough weed, yeah, it's not going to be good. You do enough drugs, drugs are bad. Hugs, not drugs. So to have this law go into effect, I think it just basically takes away the police department's ability to it's just one more example of, well, we love our fellow human beings so much. We just want to let them kind of do their drug thing on their own. And we want to protect them from unknowingly having drugs on their personhood. You got a new pair of pants from your friend, new pair of used pants. You got some drugs in the pocket and you didn't know, we'll believe you. We believe you because we love you. We want you to continue doing that meth. Keep going down that road. Next time, you know what? Who knows? This thing is just so ridiculous. But that's all I got on this one. This is such a silly topic, but it's the law. And the cops now are like, okay. Yeah, now they got to rework the way they do things, and got to come up with some new strategies to get the bad guys off the street who are just out there doing their criming. Did a couple of podcasts earlier and was talking about one of them was how drugs are basically being sold out of tents in the street of Seattle, because that's a strategy, because you're not supposed to get rid of the tents because of the whole CDC thing. Because obviously the Rona is lurking just in all the homeless tents. It's just all over. A couple of months ago, I think the number of cases out of all of the homeless encampments was like 15. It was under 20. I could be wrong on that number, but it doesn't seem like the homeless are being impacted by the Rona at all, does it? So CDC's initial thing, don't move the homeless encampments, that has been interpreted as, if you do your drug selling out of a tent, you're going to be okay. What a better cover for those drug dealers in the streets of Seattle let's get a couple of tents. Let's do a homeless encampment. They won't know. They'll think that we're just homeless people. We're selling our drugs out of here. Lots of people going in and out of the tent. Wonder why. Wonder what's going on. How long does it take a business owner that this tent is out in front of to realize, this is what we got going on? Probably about half an hour. It's 4 or 5 people. They go in and go back out real quick. Wonder what's going on in there. Interesting. Maybe a puppet show? I'm not really sure. I don't know. Now I'm just talking nonsense, but that's kind of what I think this law is it's silliness. But that's what we're doing here in the upper left Northwest, Pacific Northwest, here in Seattle, Washington. And as this silliness continues, I'll bring it to you right here in the Seattle Real Estate Podcast. Thanks so much for being here. I'd love to have you subscribe. All that stuff I'm supposed to tell you and you're supposed to do. You already know how to do it. All right. Thanks again for being here. I'll catch up with you guys soon. Talk soon. Bye. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you'll know when our next video is out.